21st City Council meeting to order.
Councilmember Howe.
Present.
Councilmember Hyman.
Present.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember Worth.
Here.
Councilmember Wright. Vice Mayor Riffle.
Here.
Mayor Malcolm.
Here.
This evening, we have our prayer and our pledge by Councilmember Jackson.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening and we ask that you will lead and guide us as we do your business and that it aligns with the people's business. We pray that we make good decisions to help move our city forward. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For business recognition, Smitty's Pizza will be recognized. However, due to illness, they could not be here this evening, so we'll move that to the next agenda. Public hearing on proposed budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. Notices regarding the public hearing appeared in the Exponent Telegram on March 13th.
Anybody wishing to speak for or against it may do so at this time.
Just come to the podium.
How y'all doing this evening? So at the last council meeting, I had asked a question on the council insurance and why it was being put into the budget. And I'd stated that I'd received a FOIA response from the city that the only basis for council insurance package was that it was being put into the budget. That threw up some red flags for me. Since then, done some research, consulted with several folks, and there's actually a good bit written about this. So, Section 5 in the city's own charter states, salary of the mayor and council shall be fixed by ordinance. No, the budget's not an ordinance, it's a resolution. There's also no ordinance in place, not only for council salary, but not for the benefits either. For some, this shouldn't be an issue. Actually, I received a phone call today discouraging me from coming here tonight to speak about this issue. I was told that this is how it's been, and there's no need to say anything about it because nothing is going to be done about it. It's how it's been, it's how it's always going to be. For me, that's disappointing. Mr. Mayor, yourself, see something, say something. I've seen something, I'm going to say something. Shouldn't have to be quiet about it. At the end of the day, right's right, wrong's wrong. There's processes, there's procedures, there should be ordinances in place, and there's not. Now, I didn't stay for the remainder of the previous meeting. I did watch it afterwards. I did notice in all the council comments, nobody mentioned anything about the insurance. I did watch the last work session. I noticed that nothing was brought up, no inquiries about the insurance in the last work session. And here we are, D-Day on the budget, and I'm curious if this council can sit here tonight and honestly say that the personal benefits and the private gain that most of you are receiving is appropriate. Or if you're going to take action tonight to personally enrich yourselves. When you look at the dollars and cents, can't recall how many times I've heard from some current, some previous council members that, thankless job, don't make a very big salary, a couple $100 a month. Heard that several times. I've seen in the room here, you got several off-duty first responders here. And to my understanding, a starting salary for a first responder is somewhere around 40,000. Mayor Malfa, last fiscal year, your overall compensation package was nearly 20,000, including all your benefits. 17,000 and change, I believe. Yeah, actually be specific, $17,195.68.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
$17,195.68.
Sure didn't go through my paycheck, through my book. I
mean,
make
that's-
$175 a month, Mr. Lane. So I don't know where you're getting your numbers at. I may have made $1,700, that might have been it, but I damn well sure did not make 17,000. So do your due diligence before you come here, sir.
So this spreadsheet was provided to me by the city of Clarksburg,
Yeah.
by the finance department. Specifically, the monthly salary of $208.33, a monthly insurance premium of $1,149.14 for health, monthly dental of $75.51, for an annual grand total of $17,195.68. I don't believe you paid for the health, the vision, or the dental yourself out of pocket. That was an expense to the city, so that is part of your compensation package.
You didn't say that. You said I made. It's compensation's in there.
That is
Okay,
part of,
well, yeah,
your salary
probably.
plus your compensation. The insurance is the big ticket item.
Why
It's-
all of a sudden, Mr. Lane, are you pouncing on this? I mean, it's been, like you said, it's been like this forever. Why all of a sudden? You've been a resident of Clarksburg for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Why all of a sudden are you bringing this up now?
Well, roughly 6 months ago, information was put in front of me about it. I submitted FOIA requests. And it took the city of Clarksburg 6 months and a lawsuit that I had to file against the city in order to receive those FOIA requests.
Yeah,
Which
and
I
and
received.
you asked
Which I
for stuff
received.
that came, there was 40, 50, 60, 100 pages. And you expect them to drop everything that we do here at City Hall to
All I'm
accommodate you,
saying-
sir? Go ahead.
Well, I'll apologize and state the obvious. As defensive as you're being, I'm assuming it's your conscience just bothering you.
Okay, Mr. Lane, go proceed, sir. This all has to do with your
So-
wall in front of your house. Let's be honest. You be honest here.
Right's right,
Be
wrong's
honest,
wrong.
Mr. Lane, yes or no?
Do you feel?
Yes or
that-
no?
No. Do you feel that the insurance benefits you are receiving are appropriately given to you?
Yes, sir. I can't tell you how much time I am on the phone. I was at a meeting last night for 2.5 hours. I've been up here every day this week.
Okay.
So yes, I do, sir, for a measly $175 a month to put up with stuff like this. Yes, I do
Not to
believe I
mention the
am
full health
compensated.
benefits.
Go on, Mr. Lane.
I mean, you got first responders here starting out with salaries around 40,000. And yourself has a compensation package of nearly half that. That's a big issue for me. Like I said, the city charter says that the salary of the mayor and council shall be fixed by ordinance. I asked the city once again prior to coming to this meeting tonight, is there an ordinance on this? And they said, no, there is not. So there's not an ordinance for it. West Virginia Code. West Virginia Code, Chapter 8, Section 512, compensation of officers and employees. Notwithstanding any charter provision to the contrary, the governing body of every municipality shall by ordinance fix or cause to be fixed the salary compensation of every municipal officer and employee. The following sections 12 and 8 talks about group insurance programs. Every municipality shall have plenary power and authority to negotiate for, secure, and adopt for the regular employees thereof who are in employee status with such municipality on and after the effective date of this section for their spouses and dependents. Regular employees, not elected officials. I'd also like to point out that if there's a part-time employee employed by the city of Clarksburg, they're not eligible to receive any type of health benefits. Even if they elect to pay for it themselves, if they don't work a minimum, I believe it's either 1,040 or 1,080 hours a year, they're not eligible for benefits, period. And even if you are a full-time employee, you still have to contribute 15% of the premium cost yourself. When they're a full-time employee, not even our dedicated first responders, that gets a full ride on benefits. Directly on West Virginia Ethics website, they talk about and list private gain. It says the basic principle underlying the Ethics Act is that those in public service must use their positions for the public's benefit and not for their own private gain or the private gain of another. West Virginia Code, Chapter 6B, Article 2, Section 5, discusses the use of public office for private gain. Public official or public employee may not knowingly and intentionally use his or her office or the prestige of his or her office for his or own private gain or that of another person. So, as I stated 2 weeks ago, on the day that I received the FOIA responses, and I was made aware that there is no ordinance, so there's nothing in place other than the city's budget to allow for these benefits that each of you are receiving. I urge and implore you all, whenever you're voting today, to vote in clear conscience on what this budget states, what this budget is providing. And implore you to do the right thing. If you have a compensation package that should be by ordinance, I suggest seeking legal counsel and establishing such ordinances. But taking action on a measure that gives yourselves direct personal gain is not right. Even if you yourself see it fit, that doesn't make it right. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Petitions, communications, and public hearings. Chris and Lane, but you don't have none. Approved.
Brittany.
Brittany, I'm sorry, our grant writer's going to speak now.
Council, you were handed out 3 attachments printed out at your seat, and our grant writer Brittany is just going to run through these and answer any questions that you have.
As of March 2024, I've secured over 4.4 million. Sorry, I'm looking at, there's 3 attachments, so I'm looking at the memo, the grants update memo. So just going through the statistics on what's been awarded thus far and amongst these different categories. So 4.4 million in grant awards, and then we have this congressionally directed spending. Through the fiscal year 24 CDS or appropriations process, we're slated to receive $1,468,000. So a big thank you goes out to the senators, both Manchin and Capito, and obviously their offices for their diligent support of our local projects. Those are in the process, and the next stage will be basically opening up contracts within the individual funders in which those CDS accounts correspond to. So that brings the total allocations or the total procurement to over $6 million to combine those grants and appropriations awards. The submitted grant requests are pending, an additional for over $4.1 million, and that can be seen as far as the details of those different proposals on the Excel sheet, which I think you have a printout for as well. And going through the new fiscal year, or sorry, the previous fiscal year 24 CDS awards. First, we have the Downtown Clarksburg Mobility and Accessibility Revitalization Project. Sorry, there's such a crowd here tonight, I'm nervous. And that's through the HUD EDI account. And so this proposed project encompasses the repair and replacement of sidewalks downtown, which everybody has been wanting for quite a long time now. And this will occur in obviously the central business district. The project planning establishes the need for West Main Street sidewalk repair and replacement as priority given to the current damaged state of concrete and the related trip hazards and general mobility issues associated with broken infrastructure. So it will result in repairs to, like I said, West Main Street from South 2nd Street to South 6th Street. And this initial phase of the project will directly impact 19 acres of downtown commercial and governmental properties that front on West Main Street. This project will also consider environmental challenges associated with stormwater through green infrastructure and alternative draining mechanisms. And then you can see the budget breakdown that the appropriations award was for $500,000 through that account, and we budgeted for an additional $100,000 as local match, which will correspond to the design, engineering, and any overruns that may occur for the project. And so the second project under the CDS approvals for, again, fiscal year 24, are for fire department needs. Steve and I have spoke about this recently, but these needs were indicated by the fire department last fiscal year upon submitting these in the spring, and we might need to do some budget modifications to the project, which should be doable, and I'll handle that directly with the funder and not on the end of the legislators or the senator's office. So those needs were identified as mobile radios, ambulance, and the SCBA air packs. And then the third awarded project under fiscal year 24 is an award to the police department, which also covers their top priority needs as indicated by the fire department chief. That includes the portable radios, communication drone command vehicle, and less lethal tasers. And then there was a lot of back and forth as far as like the timeline for this last fiscal year, the fiscal year 24 CDS, but I just want to confirm that those projects were approved within the president's budget. And then the second, because all of our projects belong to the first tranche, and the second tranche will be basically expected to become law at the end of the month. But all of our projects belong, like I said, to the first tranche. So once the grant award agreements are received through the individual funders and executed, we can begin announcing these awards in the spirit of transparency, and obviously it would be great PR for the city. And I believe it would be beneficial to move forward with press releases to help publicize what's happening in the community through these awards, and obviously to publicly thank Senators Manchin and Capito. So moving along, we have the project submissions for grants and also the new appropriations for fiscal year 2025. So grants were submitted recently to assist the codes department through the FEMA, the BRIC program. And you'll see the AFG grant was also submitted for SCBA. And then for appropriations, CDS requests for fiscal year 2025, these, like all of our city priorities are now being assessed against CDS accounts for eligibility, according to Mansion's guidance, as Capito hasn't released their guidance yet, or their deadline, but basically, we could expect a duplicate, basically proposal, another chance at funding. So I'm anticipating the submission of about 8 projects for 16 overall submissions once that other deadline is released. And then we have on the other document a listing of those projects for fiscal year 25. And you'll see that there's, each of these projects will need to be ranked in the submission process. So I placed a ranking almost as a placeholder, but ultimately I'll revert that back to the city manager to finalize the ranking of the submission as far as our highest need. And I'm not sure if you want me to go through the new projects to be submitted. Okay, no. So that's all I have. Any
Anybody have any questions for Brittany? Will? Any questions, sir?
Just trying to absorb it all here.
Yeah, that's a lot of information.
Mr. Jackson? Mr. Howe?
Not this time.
Mr. Riffle? Mr. Worth?
Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Approval of the minutes of the regular session of March 7, 2024.
Move we approve the minutes from March 7th, regular session 2024.
Second.
You got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Unfinished business, consideration of second and final reading of public hearing of an ordinance of the city of Clarksburg to create section 127.03, non-emergency or emergency medical transport assistance fees. Notices regarding the public hearing appeared in the Exponent Telegram on March 12 and March 19.
We'll now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time. We'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion.
Discussion?
Just confirming that the amendment from last meeting was made, was included.
Which
I believe the money was supposed to be dedicated, earmarked for the fire department,
Yes.
fire department's budget. That's all I got.
Motion to second.
There's a motion and a second, yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Consideration of second and final reading and public hearing of an ordinance of the city of Clarksburg to amend section 127.02 of the codified ordinances. Notices once again appeared as previously stated.
We will now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time. We'll close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
New business, consideration of approval of the budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025 in the amount of $18,606,285 for the general fund, $93,300 for the coal severance tax fund, $284,000 for the police fine escrow fund, $2,029,316 for the excess property levy fund, $1,460,000 for the financial stabilization fund, $6,010,000 for the sales and use tax fund, and $1,405,300 for the Robinson Gray Performing Arts.
Before we make a motion here, Mr. Attorney, would you mind coming up and speaking on the insurance, please?
Not unless you go to executive session.
Okay.
On the insurance issue, what you bring up, you need to discuss that in attorney-client privilege and do executive session.
No, I think he just wants you to, Richard, if you could stand up for a second. In
Yeah.
regards to the claim that every time they vote on the budget it's for personal gain, it's,
I'm telling you my position is, if you want me to discuss this issue with you, you need to go in executive session and do it
Okay.
under attorney-client privilege.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion?
Point of inquiry, Mr. Marsh, is that something we could do right now?
You can do that right now.
We probably should ask to clear the room then,
No, I'm good.
or we can go out
We
to
can-
executive session into the other bathroom.
Just gotta read the code. I'm happy to do that. Got a copy of it?
Martin's good.
It would
Do you
be,
have a copy?
what Mr. Howe has, it would be for
I can-
personnel.
I can read it, right?
You got it memorized?
No, that's a loaded question. Pursuant to Chapter 6, Article 9A, Section 4 of the West Virginia Code, I move that the board adjourn to executive session, to discuss personnel matters involving mayor, members of city council, the city manager, and the city attorney.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Folks, we'll be right back. Mr. Hyman, how was your steak, sir?
Filet mignon, medium rare.
Wrapped in Le Bacon.
Bacon. Somebody make a motion. Somebody has to make a motion to come back into.
I move we return to, trying to,
Regular session.
return to regular session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Now we need a motion on the budget.
Now we need a motion on the budget.
So moved.
I guess I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Got to do a roll call. Roll call. Martin Howe,
No.
Will Hyman,
Aye.
Mark Jackson,
Aye.
Wayne Worth,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Riffle,
Aye.
Mayor Malpajoe.
Aye.
And just to clarify, my no vote is specifically for going back to the sales and use tax in the budget. So I want to make it clear.
Consideration of a resolution of the City of Clarksburg, West Virginia regarding adoption of opioid funding policy and opioid funding application form.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. Want a discussion?
I just want to let council know the two updates that you requested have been added into the application form.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Discussion regarding potential economic development project.
Paul's going to help me get this video moving that I want to start off with.
No.
What we're going to be watching is the nearly 2-year-old ABC News special that featured Clarksburg, West Virginia. The fentanyl crisis and the opioid crisis is something very real, as we know, and as I get to this concludes, I'm going to show you how the things that are spoken of in this video, how we're going to be able to address them. And so I think it's important for a lot of people who I know who haven't seen this to have the opportunity to see it as it ties to what I'm going to speak to you a little bit about.
To get a sense of just how bad things could get, we need to explore how this all began.
Uh-oh, Paul.
Not quite.
We don't know that it'll play on it.
When it's past our budget, we can afford them.
Next to the fentanyl crisis, wreaking havoc in communities across the country. The overdoses, drug seizures, and concerns continue to grow from coast to coast. But some experts tell us before we try to get a sense of just how bad things could get, we need to explore how this all began. Next to the fentanyl crisis wreaking havoc in communities across the country, the overdoses, drug seizures, and concerns continue to grow from coast to coast. But some experts tell us before we try to get a sense of just how bad things could get, we need to explore how this all began.
Okay, we'll move past this very important component. The genesis of the story was, this was a feature article news story across the world featuring Clarksburg, West Virginia as the birthplace of fentanyl and the home of the opioid epidemic for the entire country. Okay, our first responders were interviewed, our city residents. Okay, the featured portion of the story was on the mission and how we struggle as a community. The video showed dilapidated buildings, factories falling apart. It showed our residents speaking about many challenges in our community. It was almost 15 minutes of heartbreak, and the whole world sees this. And, you know, when it aired, I didn't know whether I wanted to cry or whether I wanted to fight. And I decided after I wiped my tears for my city that it was time to start fighting and finding solutions for the ways that our city has to overcome the worst plague to ever attack man in the history of time. This city is the epicenter of what people around the world view as the largest plague to ever attack man. We are the epicenter of it, per ABC News. So, as I started thinking about my community and identifying the things that they spoke to in this video and what I knew of in my own community, you know, I really began asking myself, you know, what are the things we need? Well, we know that we need to keep the kids off the streets, to stay off of drugs. That message we've all been taught. We know we need good community housing. We know we need safe communities. We know we've got issues in all these things. Okay, that's nobody's fault. Not your guys' fault. Nobody here's fault. We're all victims. Victims, every single one of us. And so how we attack the victimization that we have received is critical. And so I said, okay, I got to start off. We have to have a place in our community for everyone to come together. We don't have a place to educate, recreate, remove stigma, nothing. So at that time, I began a conversation with Mr. Wilt here. This is Mark Wilt. For those of you that don't know Mr. Wilt, he's the current owner of Village Square, and he and I are under a purchase operations agreement, and I thank him for his time in coming here this evening, for what he's allowed me to vision with some things which lead me to why I'm here. Long ago, after this came out, I started developing a plan where I wanted a place to come together for our community. Knowing the recreation needs and everything else, I began working on a redevelopment plan for Village Square. And in that redevelopment plan were all the components of a rec center that you see in a community affected by opioid and drug abuse use. And as I began going through building the model for what all it took to go in there and meeting with people and, you know, to me, ignorant of opioid fund money. Okay, this is before we got our money. This was before, you know, and I'm studying very hard, and then as I'm building this, I'm asking myself, how am I going to tie together a rec center that we, you know, really need with senior services and places where kids can come and have counseling and, you know, all those other things that we need. And, you know, I started realizing that there were some funding sources available. I do regular work with the USDA, okay, through REAP grants and other grants that they give in the community. And so as I was working with the USDA, I stumbled upon, wow, the USDA has a whole bunch of money that they provide for all kinds of opioid stuff. So, you know, I started studying a little bit more, and at the same time, we got our settlement money, comes out in the state. So the state of West Virginia, okay, for everybody that doesn't know, the state of West Virginia got about $1 billion in opioid settlement money for the abuse that we have received. The way the money is being distributed, about 75% of that money is staying in a state fund, held. 25% approximately was distributed to the local municipalities. The city of Clarksburg got $750,000, I believe is our first deposit. The county also got money. That's just seed money. That's 25% what we have. There's almost another $1 billion in West Virginia state opioid money that we can get. So how do we get to it? So I started going through the settlement documents and looking at everything that can be paid for. And when I saw in the opioid settlement documents all of the different things that it allows for that we can use in this community, I felt stupid. Okay, and then when I realized that the USDA has all this money that's available as well, that we could have been using before the opioid money, the settlement fund money became available, I felt extra guilty. That's my fault, nobody here. Okay, I'm a community developer. Okay, everybody here, it's not your job. Okay, and I take fault, and that's why I'm coming here today with a plan of how we can utilize USDA money and opioid money to turn Village Square into a community opioid avoidance, recreation, and education center. And in doing so, we can help start growing our community back to where we need to be. We cannot back to qualifying. I want to bring these down here to everybody. I want to thank everybody here. As I started studying the Village Square model and why it works for our community, the first thing that came up was the fact that when we have to fight an epidemic of any type, we have to look at what resources that we have within the community. And the two greatest things that we have, I believe, to build from in our community are the people in our community and our park system. Our Clarksburg City Park system is a great resource that we have not been able to utilize. And when you consider Village Square's location and the fact that we're going through school consolidation. So when you go through school consolidation, we have to study traffic patterns. So right now, there's no school traffic that goes past Village Square. But if the proposed consolidation happens, everybody that's at Liberty has got to drive past Village Square now to go to Byrd. And everybody that's at WI now has to drive all the way out past Village Square to get to Mountaineer Middle. So every middle school and every high school kid in this 2 feeder systems is going to cross right through there. So to our community needs, we have community needs for daycare, which it pays for. There's community need for so many things, but when we partner it with our park system, okay, that's the amazing blessing. What you guys are looking through there, I'm going to take you through, okay, you have some drawings conceptually of what Village Square can look like, but I'm going to bring you backwards for a minute. Okay, when I ask you to turn to the page that says supporting documents. Okay, that would be here. And I'm talking a lot, and I'm going to be quick because I just want to show you how all the money comes together and flows into everybody that wants those complete answers. I've seen a lot of people come up here with projects for you guys, and everything isn't complete. Okay, and I want to apologize because I've gone ahead and done a lot of work in trying to make this complete. So the first place that I started studying, okay, and I'm giving out my plan here. Anybody that wants opioid money, okay, any first responders, anybody, and I wanted to maybe not do this in public, but I'm going to, because this is the path for everybody to get money. Okay, I'm giving my plan to everybody. I hope the whole city uses it, instills it, and uses it. Go to the USDA Rural Community Toolbox, and it shows you all of the different tools and ways that you build a community structure. And then, let's look at this. Okay, this is USDA opioid funding sources. Has nothing to do with the current settlement money. This is a separate pool of money. And it traces through all the different things in the community that we can use the money for. Everything from schools, housing, community centers. Then you go to the next page, and it shows more of the USDA resources, okay, that you can get. Every type of physical structure from ambulances, first responder stuff. And this is not the $1 billion opioid fund money. This is a separate pool that we can bring together. Two pools of money. So if you flip, so I showed you the glossy part, but here I'll provide you guys with the exact framework of every different funding source that the USDA has, that all the grants can be applied for, what they all can be used for. Everything. Here's your blueprint. Okay, turn the page. Okay, there's another page of them. Okay, keep going. Flip the page again. Okay, you guys can read, there's more. Pages and pages and pages. Okay, we have resources available to us for anything that we feel as a community would be valuable to help us overcome the worst plague to ever attack us. So as we continue on, okay, and as we've gone through I saw all these funding sources. Well, so we got to go back. So how do we build and start a program that's a center where everyone can come together? So as you turn to this page, what this page is, I have spec designed Village Square for an indoor center, as I've discussed to you here. What you'll notice, I've set it out so that each different area is identified by income production, or what is the highest use and what makes the most money as we build our facility as well. Okay, because back to funding, which I won't get into a lot, having a revenue producing project certainly helps. And so back to a revenue producing project, so when we talk about partnering with our city park system, okay, and in developing this, I had a lot of conversation with Doug Comer, our director of parks. Okay, and what we felt were some things to start with inside of this community center. And as we continue to talk about the partnership of growing the park system with Village Square, okay, it brought us back to a lot of things. Okay, what else can we create? So one of the things that we discussed was potentially looking at doming the current spice zone. We only use it 2.5 months a year. That's one of our greatest resources, and it sits useless 10 months a year. But if we were to dome the park, or the Spice Park, that becomes a year-round destination now. And that gives us more credence with what we're doing next door, with all the shift of the students that was discussed. And then we have the basis, when we have that destination, for the hotel that we so desire in our city right there that you see in those blueprints. So tying the city together through our parks, what can we do? Through this center, we can have competitions that we host, cheer competitions, all those other things that we can partner with our current park system as well. You know, we have had discussions already on putting a walking bridge. These are old plans that you guys have seen here. Okay, a walking bridge that goes from the parking lot at Village Square up to the parking lot of the amphitheater. Okay, so we can tie everything together. A walking bridge from the back side of the park back into Hartman so that we can tie the whole community together through our rail system and the trails, and we can tie everyone together, and these kids can all come together in our whole community through one place. And, you know, using our park system together with the resource of Village Square is just an incredible opportunity. We couldn't build it. You know, the bridge, as an example, was a $50 million project. Okay, we're not even going to be close to that. Plus being able to utilize the other resources that we have. So, you know, it's very, very evident to me that I needed to start building something very quickly, as I've done. And I've had a lot of engagement from community members, and it is the opportunity that we have here is that I have a plan that I've put together, A to Z, multiple funding sources. We as a community need to come together, and we need to start. There's a whole other list of stuff, okay, that we can do. We have the keys now. We have to be back on ABC News as the leader in the world. That's the goal of this. We have to show that we are going to grow. How are we going to use these funds to rebuild our city? How are we going to escape what they're saying we're the worst place in the country? So back to, I just showed you 100 different funding mechanisms. Well, we are the #1 opioid zip code in the country. The heck with our state. So how much can we qualify for if we're the #1 person on the list per ABC News? This is one of the grant applications, everybody. They're going to see it. They've said we're the worst. So back to what we can correct. If we're the worst opioid city in the country, and of 16,000 people, do we have a doctor's office in the natural boundaries of the city of Clarksburg? Nope. 16,000 people, you don't have a doctor's office? Nope. How about community schools? And I'm for consolidation, and we know what's going on, but the reality is the city of Clarksburg isn't going to have a school in the natural boundaries of the city. The other ones are annexed. So 16,000 people, #1 opioid city in the country, you don't have a doctor's office, and you don't have a school in the natural boundaries of the city. Well, do you think that based upon all this stuff, that we can qualify for stuff? Heck yes. Okay, back to how much are we due even out of the state fund? Well, if we're the worst need and there's $1 billion, how much can we get? We need to begin the process of moving forward for our community. I have a couple things, you know, put this idea out there, and we need to move very quickly. I'm asking for your partnership, okay? Because as you guys see here, to the bigger community, anyone can apply for all this money, right? The city doesn't have to do it for you. Any business can start it. Any entity, there's lots of, you know, you don't have to be the city government. But I obviously have a plan that's in place that I want to partner with the city. I want to partner, again, because I know all the different skills of everybody here. And when we go back to be on ABC News, okay, we've got a great story. All of us together. Okay, we do. We have such unique, special people. Okay, all the way around. And, you know, and I want to apologize to the city manager, okay, because I did this the way that I was taught growing up in Clarksburg. Okay, that means that you do your work before you come and ask somebody. You put all this stuff together. Okay, you don't show up here going, hey, I got an idea. You talk to everybody, you put it all together, and then you come and say, this is what I have for you. And that's what I've tried to do here. And, you know, I apologize for coming up here and just saying all this like this and kind of dumping it, but the reality is I couldn't think my goal back on ABC News is the best. That's the only thing that's acceptable. And if we're going to tell our story and have somebody on ABC News, it's that woman in the chair right there, the female city manager, who's a great mother. Okay, we've got every piece, everybody together here. We all have our unique skills that make this something fabulous, but we will do it if we can come together. So in the coming together portion here, I have some private, confidential, financial information that I need to share with council. I also have some private, confidential information from a potential partner, okay, and two partners in this facility, okay, and proposing the park board takes it over, and runs it. There's going to be other auxiliary leaseholders that we will lease property to, the daycare center, the physical therapy center, okay, those places, the urgent care. We want to put an urgent care inside of our place. So we want our place where all our kids are coming to have an urgent care, to have a daycare, to have the restaurant, to have the learning library, to have all those things, okay, that are income generating, that once we, again, the key, we're only asking for brick and mortar money, potentially, okay, because we have income that it will generate to keep the project going. So to get into the confidential financial stuff and the confidential other information that I would like to share, I would kindly ask Mr. Mayor if we could have a motion to go into executive session as the meeting is ending. And I know you guys have had a long day, a long time, but I do have some confidential information as it relates to this stuff that I need to reach a conclusion with, and I cannot say it on the floor. So I would thank you guys in advance for your time. And I know it's a challenge. You guys have a lot on your plates, but we have a chance to come together here and help start off with what the whole world thinks of us as. So thank you. And
Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Can we ask questions now?
you can, I was going to suggest if we wanted to, again, motion maybe go to executive session, then you can ask questions in executive session. I just don't want to, I've got confidential stuff, Mark, that's my only thing.
Well, we're discussing public funds, and I think that it's only right that we discuss this in front of the public instead of in a private matter. I don't think that that's the proper way of
That's
doing
okay,
it.
well, if you can, if I can answer them, sure.
Okay. First, I would like to know, how does this plan that you have address prevention, intervention, treatment, and recovery?
Well, first of all, Mark, as I told you, this isn't a treatment plan, this is a facility plan. Okay, and there's a facility plan, and there's lots of things underneath of this spending, okay, that you can do, okay, that it calls for. And so, as to, one, it helps keep kids off the street. Two, there's going to be treatment rooms in there where children, okay, this isn't a place where people go get drug treatment. Okay, this is a place where the community goes, and if the child is there, and there's counseling rooms, there's a learning lab, a learning library, tutoring services are available, educational opportunities, anti-drug messaging, those sorts of things. This isn't a recovery plan. Okay, this is a recreation, education, awareness center. And so the things that you're talking about need to be in a different brick and mortar facility. It's kind of what I talked about. I concur with what you're saying.
But you said that this plan will educate, recreate, and something else. And I'm just wondering, how will this educate our children against the drug problem?
So the
if this is a
education, the
recreation
first few
facility?
things that it will be, as you can see, and when I put every person that comes through the door through the facility, will get a handout. Okay, it can change once a month. Anti-drug education. Number two, the walls are going to have up posters, pictures. There's going to be a group meeting room where different community groups can host educational symposium, again, depending upon what type of education we're trying to provide. So if we want to provide education on the creation of job skills, then we'll make that specific to the training there. I have as you can see, I have put in a music theater in there, okay, as one example. So when we want to teach and educate in a different parameter, then we bring in the experts in the physical space to build the curriculum to do so. So how we educate in it is up to us what curriculum we choose to educate through, but the physical structure is there.
I had a question. So, and I understand the whole recreation part of things, but when it comes to programming, I mean, how is this not a duplication of other services that are already provided in the community? And how are you going to prevent that?
One, as far as programming, again, kind of to the answer of Mr. Jackson, this facility is built for recreation, education. It is not a facility where people are going to come and get pills or Suboxone or any of those sorts of things.
And
This
that
is-
wasn't really my question. I mean, a lot of this, I think a lot of recreation has to do with prevention. And there's a lot of prevention programs out there that are evidence-based, that are provided not only in our community, but throughout the state. Maybe there's not enough of them. But that was my question, you know, when it comes to programming that are geared towards recreation, geared towards job development, like you were saying. I mean, because we do have programs like Jobs and Hope. They help folks, you know, who are in recovery get jobs. We have Workforce West Virginia does the same thing. You know, how's this not going to be like a duplication of that service?
Well, first of all, this is a recreation and community gathering facility, okay? And so its purpose and intent is not to provide programming for those sorts of things. If a group that's offering that sort of programming wants to come in and use the facility, they can. And that's back to, I've put together a template here, okay? This isn't what we're going to do. This is the template of everything that could be done inside. And to your point, and to Mr. Jackson's point, that's why we need to talk and say we're going to have this availability, and what is it that we want to absolutely put in here. I put my ideas, okay, but as to competing against other entities that are offering specific programming, we will not be offering the specific programming as I vision it right now, but again, that could change, but it's not, it's the opposite.
Mr. Lopez, I have a question. Would you be willing to discuss the second phase here with me? In
The second page.
phase 2 of the plan that you put together here, the written document.
Which component?
Uh,
Yeah, sure.
Part 2 looks like page 3 of this, escaping the community's victimization resulting from the opioid epidemic, the city of Clarksburg plan for community rebuilding.
Just show.
The section 2 right here. If you don't want to, that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah, this was a miss, that's not supposed to, that's why I want to go into executive session,
Okay.
that's fine. And that is that the copy that I gave? That's a different copy, I think you got the wrong one, that's part of the problem. You got one that maybe the city manager. This is-
Provided me with.
Yeah, so that's not in, so this is the one that you guys got, it doesn't have any of that in it.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Lopez?
Yeah, one further question. The location of the Village Square, is that inside the city limits?
Village Square is currently not in the city limits, but that's a very good question. I want to annex it back into the city, absolutely. But like I said, I do have a little bit of extremely confidential information in a person who has asked me to remain confidential in some stuff, and so that would be my request at this time. But if no one else has any questions.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be more than happy to entertain a motion going to executive session, but I mean, I know there's council comments, and typically we do those first, so we don't have to come back, because we're not taking any action tonight, so we'll just come out to adjourn. So, I mean, if you want to proceed to council comments, I'd be more than happy to entertain a motion at that point in time.
Second?
Well, I mean, after the council.
Yeah, we're gonna do council comments first, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's-
no motion yet.
we don't need a motion for that.
No.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. We don't need a motion. Council comments?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Hyman? Nothing to report? Thank you, sir. Mr. Jackson?
I would just like to thank everyone for coming out this evening, airing their concerns, and just being involved with the city process. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Howe?
Yeah, I thank everybody for coming out. Looks like definitely had a lot of interest tonight, which is nice to see. Maybe all you gentlemen and females can come out to every meeting and take part in it. It's nice to see people here. From our standpoint, I think we need to keep thoughts and prayers for the Eastern Panhandle. They're in a state of emergency with all the fires, a lot of structure and property damage. So just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Again, congratulations to Councilwoman Wright with a newborn, as well as her husband. And then also, just to clarify also on the ordinance that we passed tonight, 12703, I'd like to thank the chief. I know after the last council meeting, I voted no last time, and I did have an in-depth conversation with the chief to clarify some concerns I had, and he put me at rest and ease today, so I appreciate that, chief. And then again, we had an employee down at the Robinson Grand, Michelle James. I'd like to keep her in our prayers for the Robinson Grand. She just had a bone marrow transplant. So anything the city can do to help her, I think we should attempt to in our abilities. But God bless her, and hope she gets well. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Howe. Mr. Warren?
Yeah, thank everyone for coming out too. One particular thing on the agenda that I really like that we passed tonight was the opioid funding policy and application form. I think what it does is it creates a fair system to where when people want to apply for this opioid funding, they can, they could do that through our city manager's office. And then I like the application and even the policy too, because, this is our one shot, with this money to do it right, and this problem has touched a lot of people. Right? A lot of people in here know somebody that either had an overdose or has been affected by substance use and substance abuse, and here's our opportunity to really find those, to really enhance those evidence-based programs in our community, that are doing a lot that could, where we could all work together on these things. So I think this is good. It's it's a step in the right direction, and and I hope people have interest and apply for it. Now it's altogether is only $2.7 million compared to the the $760 million that you could also apply for through the West Virginia First Foundation, but I think it is definitely a good start, and I like how we put it in different categories, prevention, intervention, first responders, that sort of thing. So, I think this is going to be a really good opportunity to really help combat this problem. So, and I appreciate, all our police officers and our firefighters here tonight. I hope the budget was something that, was, something that you guys, like or are good with. I think we gave, a little over $200,000 raise to the police department, to help make the pay competitive, especially with, folks with some rank. That way we're not losing them to other departments. I know just last, couple meetings ago, we passed, almost $3 million in new fire trucks. We just got some funding, from, just got some funding from, from Congress. I think it was an additional $600,000. I think it was for the fire department too, first responders. So I think it was a good budget when it came to, helping and enhancing our public safety. So, and I hope you guys feel the same way. So, but other than that, take care. God bless you, and have a good evening.
Vice Mayor?
Sometimes when you walk in a room that's full, you don't know whether to be nervous or excited. It could go either way when this room is full. So I'm glad it wasn't bad. So I want to thank all the staff and city manager and everybody that put time, finance, and everybody put time in this This is, Wayne, or Councilman Worth says it all the time, this is our most important thing as a council member, and I agree. And it's a lot of work, and I mean, so we want to thank staff for putting all the time to do that. I'm glad it's over. So I'm glad we voted on this and we can be done with it. But revisions come and the work doesn't stop, but I'm happy we got through that and just want to thank everybody again. Also want to echo what the Councilman House said. I want to congratulate Councilwoman Wright on having a baby. I don't know why she wasn't here tonight. She just had a baby this week. I don't know. I've never had a baby myself, but I think she should have been here. Hope she's not watching this. So yeah, I want to congratulate her. And also, I'm glad the application process, we got that done. I want to thank the city manager and everybody involved for putting that together. I think we put together a process that can put the people in the conversations that need to be, put protections in there to, I mean, as much as I'm confident in myself and my ideas, this is a very important thing, so I'm glad it put some obstacles to keep me out, because, my ideas aren't always the best, so, but I think they are. So I'm glad you're keeping me out of it. I'm just confident that or as a staff, we'll be able to use this money wisely. That's about it.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to start out by congratulating Mr. and Mrs. Wright on the birth of their daughter. I also want to thank Kim and her staff for the great budget that you put together along with the city manager. I've said this before and I'll say it again, we've got the best damn fire department and the best police department, I think, in the state of West Virginia. And thank you guys for everything that you do. I got a little announcement here. 2024 spring cleanup. The city of Clarksburg will again be sponsoring its free, emphasis on free, annual residential only spring cleanup for 2024. It's scheduled to begin Monday, April the 8th and run through Friday, April 26th. Additional details will be forthcoming closer to the start of the date. If you have any questions, feel free to contact Public Works. If you see something, say something. Can't do anything if you don't pick up the phone and dial 911, folks. Thank you for coming out tonight. Everybody have a nice weekend.
Pursuant to Chapter 6, Article 9A, Section 4 of the West Virginia Code, I move that council adjourn into executive session to discuss matters involving the purchase, sale, or lease of property, advanced construction planning, the investment of public funds, or other matters involving competition, which made public might adversely affect the financial or other interests of the city, and that the following persons be present: mayor, members of council, city manager, city attorney, city clerk, Mr. Lopez, Mark Welch, and we reserve the right to call any others in as needed.
I'd like to call Chief of Police Mark Kitty into the conversation as well.
Can I have a motion? Do I have a second? I second the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Nay. No.
Those opposed?
Martin Howe,
Yay.
Will Hyman.
No.
Mark Jackson.
No.
Wayne Worth,
No.
Vice Mayor Riffle,
No.
Mayor Malvern.
Yes.
Move to
Motion
adjourn.
adjourned. Second.
We're adjourned.